have to have, certain boundaries, because my first priority is to my own children. And then to those that God has given to me outside of that. And I don't have the ability to love the way Jesus loved. I don't even have the ability to love the ones He's given me or my own children the way He loved them. So I've got my hands full, you know what I mean? You think about how difficult that is, and you think about somebody being a bother to you, you know what I mean? And then you think about, man, it doesn't take long when you realize the huge, you're like, that person bothers me or that person embarrasses me. Well, and what you're really noticing is the chasm between your greatness and their mediocrity. Right? Doesn't take me long to get really humble when God just puts the light on and reveals to me the great chasm between His greatness and my mediocrity. And the fact that He was willing to come and be with me, hold me, spend time with me. And so Mother Teresa was speaking on this, and she said, how could anybody not believe that Jesus was a child while yet in the mother's womb when He ministered to John the Baptist while he was in Mary's womb? And how could we believe that John the Baptist wasn't truly a child while in Elizabeth's womb when he was assigned to Mary? That the angel said, this is a sign to you. So I began to write this song. Do you remember when our mothers met? Remember when they met, guys? Remember when Mary and Elizabeth met, and both of them, it was assigned to them? And remember when Mary and Elizabeth met, and it was like, do you remember when our mothers met? Mama told me that they laughed. This song is called Dear John, and Jesus is talking to John. And He's talking to every forerunner, and He's talking to you, and He's talking to me. He's saying, do you remember when our mothers met? Mama told me that they laughed. Was that a sign for us or a sign for them? When unborn babies testify. Carried between the earth and sky. You know that every one of us was carried between the earth and sky? Sons of eternity and time. We were born, John. We were born of spirit. We were born of water. We were born of blood. We were born child of freedom, child of promise, child of God. Not a child of freedom. We weren't born to the slave woman. Remember that? We were born to the free woman. We are not a product of human effort, but of divine promise. Isn't that awesome? Our lives, our ministries, whatever you do, my life, what I do, it's not my human effort. It changes every night on me. I don't have lists on what I'm doing. I just say, I want to follow the Spirit. Why? Because I'm not a child of human effort. I'm a child of divine promise. I don't have to be afraid to fail, and neither do you. You know why? Because I'm not a child of human effort. My calling is irrevocable. You could all leave here tonight, and you could say, I hate Jason's worship. And God say, I love you, Jason, and I love your worship. You know why? Because it's irrevocable. And you know what? That's the way it is for you. The beauty on your life is not what I think of you. It's what God thinks of you. And that never changes. That's the beauty on you. You're here. You're alive. You're breathing. And you were born for purpose. You were born for destiny. And the only thing that we can do to screw that up is by doing our own thing. My father-in-law told me years ago, he said, Jason, listen, I just want to share this with you. And he always just shares things with me, and he's such a great guy because he's so wise, but he never oversteps, and he's so careful, and so is my dad that raised me. He said, you're just both so careful in my life to adjust things without crushing my wrongness. You see what I'm saying? Because in my wrongness, I'm still a child of promise. And sometimes you have a better chance doing the right thing by doing the wrong thing than by just sitting there and doing nothing because You're just waiting for the opportunity, or by doing things that you were never created to be doing. And my father-in-law said to me, he said, one of the worst things, and he says this to me all the time, one of the worst things, Jason, one of the worst things that could ever happen to you, Jason, is that you'd become successful at something you were never created to be. Because then, see, you have to keep it by human effort. But when you're just being what God created you to be and you start walking in that promise, you don't have to play the game. Let me tell you how long it took me to believe that I was a child of promise. A long time. A long time, guys. I feel like I'm just walking in promise, where I really believe it. Just this year, I feel like I'm just walking in. I met my biological mother for the first time this year. I'm almost 33 years old. I met her on Father's Day this year. When I found my biological mother, I found out that she was a Spirit-filled believer in a local church in Minneapolis and had been in prayer rooms in Minneapolis listening to my worship music for years and didn't even know it was me. I found out that people wanted to abort me. That people actually told her, we'll pay for you to have an abortion. She had already had one, and then like 3 or 4 years before I was conceived, and then she got saved in the meantime in the Jesus movement, and then she was evangelizing some guy after she'd only been saved for a year, and you know. And it happened, and in the midst of evangelism, I was the product of evangelism gone bad. Really. This, you talk about everything you see as a gift from God. I remember I was so happy when I found out about my mom. You know, because she's a Spirit-filled, I mean, she's crazy, by the way, totally crazy. But she's a Spirit-filled woman that's in a worshiping church and in prayer rooms, and I was so pumped. I was like, can you believe this? I was telling everybody, oh, I can't believe it. You know, and then I found out about my dad, that he was like a pot smoker, he lives now in Denver with I mean, this is awesome that he lives with this, you know, he lives with this woman he's not married to, I don't think, but, you know, I mean, I'm not making fun of it. It was just odd to me because her name is Toots. It was just like, okay, she's a pot smoker hanging out with this lady named Toots in Denver. You know what I mean? I'm guaranteeing you she's a wonderful person. But it was just, as I'm bringing my wife and my children to Minneapolis, because I'm just like that, I'm just like, let's meet. All right, honey, get the tickets. We're going to go meet him on Father's Day, and I'm going to honor my grandfather and my grandmother are still living. My grandmother on my father's side